Well, what's going on, guys? We are back with the gold cube again. And what I have done is I have took a Keene highbanker hopper box and I've turned it into my topper. I mean, it wasn't doing nothing but going to collect dust. So, I mean, and these things, if you buy a topper box, you're looking at anywhere from, I think I've seen them from $270 to all the way up to maybe $380. That's with interchangeable plates, punch plates. And the only thing I've done to the topper box is I cut it. You got it open in here. No material comes down through here. You can tell all the water and material drops. Runs fine. It's run off the 1100 pump. Got the battery fully charged. And I put the grizzly grate back in there. And this punch plate is a 1/4 inch punch plate off of a Keene 2-inch dredge that I don't use no more. So figured it'd be a good punch plate to run the material through. This is raw dirt that we're going to be running through it. Just see how it operates. So far I've done a few test runs on it before I made the video. Everything seems to work good if you don't mind getting your hands a little wet. This is so you can run a lot more material a lot faster. You ain't got to worry about classing it down to a 1/4 or an 1/8. You know, if you want to run a 1/4 through your cube. I've run a 1/4 through the cube. I've had no problems. Now the only thing about with these spray bars I've done different. You know how they got the hose drilled, one pointing up, one back, right, left. I had to re-drill these on the end in the same hose so they would point up. See how they shooting back toward? If not, they was coming out spraying back here. So I got that corrected. We got just a little bit of drips of water, nothing really losing. But so if you ever want to get you 5 or 10 buckets of material, you ain't got to worry about completely classifying it till you get home. Just put your 2 scoops on there. Runs pretty good. Now one thing I will say about down here in the south, a lot of people say you need to wet this material before you run it. It runs a lot better. But down here in the south, we're not on the beach running sand. We're here in Alabama, we have tons of clay and tons of mud. And when you wet it before you run it on this slick plate down here, it just gobs up to one big ball. So the other day I ran it like that, and most of my big balls was not breaking up till they got to the last tray. And now I found more gold on the last tray than I did on the first and second combined. So that's what made me come up with this. I'm like, I had this sitting in my shed, so even if I wanted to run this wet, it would not be no problem at all. Throw it in there, nothing to it, you know. But I like running my material dry through it. So if I come across any potential corn flake pickers, anything, big flakes, nuts, small nuggets, you'll be able to see them real good right here. You're going to bust up your clay balls, whatever. It's a great little thing I come up with. I mean, the Keene hopper box runs for $280. If you want a topper box for the gold cube, well, you're going to spend $280. So if you got one of these sitting around your shed that you're not using, you don't think you're never going to use it, but you want a topper box, this is the way I would go. So I'm thinking about changing a couple of my mats out and doing a couple in dream mat. I've watched a lot of videos, did the reviews on them, and I'll be able to run a little bit faster pump, I do believe, because once the trommel comes in, it requires a 2,000 gallon pump, and that means a lot more water is going to be flowing through this cube. And I don't know if the vortex mat can hang on to the gold with that much high velocity of water. But we're going to finish this right here off, guys, and I'll let show y'all at the end whether we got any gold or not. But So far, everything works great with the topper I built. I was thinking about buying a topper, until I said, heck with that, I'll just make one. Make one out of this. Cost me $0 versus $280 to $380. Y'all stay tuned. We'll see what we get. One more thing I wanted to touch on before we get done with this bucket of dirt. Probably wondering, how is it sitting up there? Do I got it bolted, screwed, or anything? No, it just sits right on top of that. That's all it does. And you can throw material in there, wash it. I mean, it's got a little bit of wobble, but nothing much. You can see when I throw the material in there. Throw it in there and wash it around. Topper's not even moving. Ain't moving none at all. And if you don't want to get your hands wet or anything, get you a good scoop, throw it in there. You can just move it around with the big scooper. So you can still run in the winter time. If you got you some buckets, you go to a gold camp or something, get you a couple buckets. You can come back on a warm day in the winter. You won't have to worry about getting your hands wet. Alright, we'll be back. Alright guys, that was the last scoop of the raw material. We are about wrapping it up here. One last thing I wanted to show y'all about this topper, what I've done. Let me get this cleaned off a little bit. Now when you get done for today, and you got a lot of these old rocks stuck in your punch plate, I'll let that run for a second. You want to shut it, you know, once you shut it down, you're like, well, I need to get this out of here. This is not bolted in here whatsoever. I had to put a bolt right here. It's got no nut on it, just no 1/2-inch rocks cannot get through here. But other than that, it just sits in here upside down with these lips up here. You got lips running here. No lips right here, just flat. That's why I said it'll set a lot of the material just right here. Alright. All you do is just lift it up, grab that punch plate, pull it out, beat it out. You're good to go. Slide it back in for your next run. Be back for the cleanup. Alright guys, we're done with the cleanup. There was really nothing in that 5-gallon bucket I classified down to a 1/2 inch. I might have found 2 or 3 little specks. I mean, minus 100. You know, that's about it. But if y'all got any questions about the topper, anything maybe I can do different, anything at all, anything about me maybe thinking about putting on some dream mats or something in the future, y'all drop a comment down below. Thank you. See y'all later.